What's up, guys? It's Chris. Welcome to VHP Engines. Today we are going to talk about a very specific topic. Another one of these sets of viral videos is making its way around Facebook or whatnot. I'd call it viral simply because of the fact that there's like multiple people I've seen share this thing. So I haven't actually paid attention to the amount of views it's got. So I guess I don't know if it actually falls into everybody else's category of viral. But if I'm seeing it from multiple angles and people that aren't even friends to each other, then that seems like a pretty good spread to me. But anyway, it's a race between a Porsche and something else. I think it's a Honda it's racing. Not 100% sure. But there seems to be a little bit of controversy, like one of those, well, I see this or I see that. And I want to address that. And also, of course, like the video's topic is how street racing itself is a fail and why it will always be shit, an alternate to the track. So, the topic of the video itself, right, or the main thing for the topic of the conversation of that controversy right there, whether the Porsche jumped or not. And I'm going to weigh in on why it did or did not, and the overall outcome, the importance of that anyway. So, now, there's a lot of people there, so I'm sure there's multiple angles of this race. But the whole thing is that the loser claimed that the Porsche jumped and didn't pay out the money. They were racing for a big pot. So the video that I saw that made this controversy, the whole did it jump or didn't it, is like it's the very beginning of the race, and it's in slow motion, right? Because in slow motion you see everything. You see the truth. The truth is revealed. Now, the problem with this video in slow motion is that I think it's not just as a slow motion thing, but it's also slightly played back. But it's not played back the whole way through. It's only played back in one area. So if you watch the whole 30-second clip, there are multiple times that light comes on. But you can also see that there are multiple occasions that happens. It's not just one shot. It's not just one light. And we're seeing that one angle replayed over and over again 3 different times, or over 3 times. It's 3 different times you see a light come on, and one of those, and the first 2 is actually the same one, just replayed back. And you can see because the guy goes to make a motion with his hand, and I'm guessing that he's pointing at the Porsche to be like, hey, look, you're jumping, right? Now, the first time we see this, I guess you could argue that it's a jump, because the nose starts to raise up and you see it start to come forward a little bit. I'd still argue that it's not really a jump. I mean, but it's whatever, it's the light. By the time the nose is fully raised and he's coming forward, the light is on. So the reason why this matters, and the reason why I say it's not a jump, is because if you're at a start point and the light's coming on, right, or whatever signal happens, as long as you're not crossing until that moment of flag, like as long as you're not crossing the start point until that moment flags, it's whatever. If the car is starting to nose up because the tires are already starting to break loose because you've already dropped the fucking the e-brake or whatnot, as long as the signal has not been given to go, then it doesn't matter if you're raising up. It's the same thing like a pump fake in sports or whatever. You can flinch at somebody and you can do this shit. But as long as you don't actually fully cross the line, it's not a jump. It's not a false start. All right. So you can buck around and all this shit you want. Same thing like a V8, like rumbling and grumbling the fucking line when they're shaking and shit from the big cam or whatnot, or the engine, rocking the car. Motion at the line doesn't create the jump. It's crossing that line that creates the jump. All right. And so I would argue that if the light is already coming on and when you're in motion to go across, then it's not a jump. All right. But the reason why that whole point is irrelevant is because they reset. Now, if you want to be super technical, be like, oh, it doesn't matter, a jump's a jump, the race was already on, he lost because he jumped. Well, then it should have been stopped right there. There shouldn't have been a reset. If that was how it's going to be, then the guy in the black car who lost, he should have got out of the car immediately, said, that guy jumped, that's the race, give my money. But that's not the case. That's not the case at all. That's not what happened. The guy points at the dude, he backs back up, they reset, and then the light comes on again. Now, when you see the light come on, this is when the last time the light comes on, this is when the race happens, right? So whatever the fuck happened in that first one is irrelevant. It doesn't matter anymore because they reset. So even if he did jump on the first one, It's gone. That whole shit, they reset. Doesn't count. They reset without any complaints. Doesn't count. So now we get to the point where the actual race starts. And if you get to the point where the actual race starts, you see that it's 100% not a jump. The guy obviously is antsy. The guy is very trigger happy. You can tell from the first part where he did give what seemed like a bit of a false start before they reset, that he's ready to go. And that's how it should be. You're ready, you're going to race. You should be ready to go. All right. So when we get to the final moment of the race and you play it back, and I had my thumb on my scroll thing and I played it back, so that way, as you see the light come on, is when the motion and the Porsche starts. So the Porsche does not move to come forward until right when the light is on. Immediately as the light is on, you see two things happen. You see light flash, the car comes. So it's like this. So if the car is moving in there, the car goes into motion forward as the light's coming on. That's exactly what you're fucking supposed to do. You go when it says go. You don't pause, then move. And that's what happened to the loser car. The light came on, there was a pause, then he moved. At that point in time, the Porsche's already going. And so out the hole, the Porsche already had a nose. It's easily, I'd say, a fender out of the hole, which is exactly what you want. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. And this is the whole thing in me arguing about whether, how the street will always fail, is because that is 100% what you're supposed to do in a race. You are supposed to be going as the light says, as the signal comes on. That's so when you're at a track, there's a reason why they have a staging light. They have a staging light to let you know when you're in your place. And then they have the 3 light drop. On the 3rd light is the green light. That's when you go. It's yellow, yellow, green. All right. Now, why this is super important is because reaction times for a drag racer is super important. You know that somebody who can, like people talk about, you cut a 60-foot or whatnot, it's your reaction time to launch. All this matters, especially when your car is super fast and you're trying to get to new heights without getting more power. This is all important. And being able to anticipate the moment when that light is going to turn is hugely important. So when you have a guy that's just standing there and the only thing he's going to do is click a light or wave a hand, it's always going to be fail. There is no way you can ever properly anticipate how to race in the street. So that's always going to be fail. There's no way to anticipate. And then because of that, street racing always has built-in excuses for somebody to lose, right? I'm in South Florida. Miami street races and call outs is a big group down here on Facebook. You see people arguing back and forth, and it's a common joke for people to talk about the Hialeah honk. For if honk 3 times and you go, at least when you honk 3 times, it's closer to some kind of way to prepare. But then it gets fucked up because the Hialeah honk, you'll have one honk that's a long pause, like in a perfect world, it would be huh, and then go, right? Well, you would hear huh, and then somebody would take off. This is a Hialeah honk. It's like you give one long pause and then 2, 3 real fast. Or you have some guy leaning out the window, 1, 2, 3, like that. That's not a real way to prepare for a race, and there's always going to be somebody that's going to jump because you're over anticipating and there's no set time at how long somebody's going to take in their pauses, as opposed to the tree, which is exactly perfectly timed in between intervals. So you can get good at that. Once you've been out there and done that a lot, you get good at that. So you know how to anticipate, exactly when to lift your foot off the clutch and go, exactly when to release the e-brake and go, because the timing on that and you can anticipate that. So what you want is, as the second light is dropping into the third, is when you want to be breaking loose. And also too, because you have your set at the timer on the line, if you cross the line before that reaction or before that third light drops, it'll flag you. So it'll be, you will know 100%. There is no debate on whether you cut too early or not. But if you've spent time at the track, you'll see that the best racers out there, they will already have tires breaking loose and getting ready to go as you're moving into the third light. That's what you want. That's the perfect reaction time. So in the final review of what the Porsche versus, which I think is a Honda, went, I think that the guy, he got antsy on the first one, but on the one that actually mattered, the one where they both took off, he cut a perfect tree, which is amazing for somebody just standing there with the light. He had perfect timing. He was in motion going as the light came on. All right. So when you talk about did he jump, No, he didn't. He didn't jump. The guy went exactly when he was supposed to. It was a perfect fucking launch. All right. But here's the thing that, you know, that really puts the cherry on top of the situation for me, and it killed me for it, right? The way people are arguing on this and the fact that they didn't pay out, it seems, it's really fucked to me. It's fuckery, because I seen another video where you see it play out from a different angle, which is funny because I was gonna make this video last night and I didn't. And I'm glad I didn't, because now I got to see the full race play out and see what happened. What's the result? So the portion, the Civic take off, and you see the Porsche pull out ahead by a whole car. So now maybe you think, well, maybe the Honda let off or whatever or whatnot. Well, here's the first thing. A chase is a race, baby. You fucking go after the guy. That's a race. And then secondly, if he let off, it was way down the road. It wasn't like it was mad early. It was down the road. It was competitive for a stretch. And then the Porsche pulls ahead by a car. And then when you finally see the brake lights from the Civic, the Porsche was already a car ahead. So the guy's argument for not paying out was dude jumped. But even if dude jumped, that doesn't, the little bit that he had, the little advantage he had, which was a fender, isn't enough to equate to you losing by a whole fucking car down the stretch. So street racing is just fail. If you're not willing to take an L, why are you gambling? I don't gamble at all. And I have money enough where I could gamble if I wanted to, but I don't ever think that there's a situation that's going to come up where it's worth it to me. I would, you know, I'd rather be talking shit. I'd rather just have my shit talking than actually putting money on it. And then if you beat me there, well, then you got the right to talk shit about beating me. But we're not putting up no fucking money. I don't care how confident I am I'm going to win. And so I just think that's some boyish crybaby shit, that you're going to go into an agreement where that many people are throwing up money and you're saying that you're going to, you know, throw down for this bread and then find a nitpicky reason and excuse to cry about your loss. You lost, bro. You take an L. Like, even if the guy had jumped and he didn't, you still lost by a fucking car. So what's your excuse there? You don't have an excuse. But at the end of the day, guys, I've talked about this before. Keeping your shit at the track is just, it makes so much more reason, especially because this video, and I think I know the channel that's from because I think I just started following it recently. There's mad people there, all on the line, and they're standing right next to the cars. And then you got the guy who's in the middle flagging it. There's a whole bunch of potential to get fucked up in that situation. And then more importantly to me, besides the physical bodily harm and death that can occur, the potential for, you know, being arrested, having your car impounded or whatever. The streets, no matter how much you try, will never be properly prepped like a track is. The track is meant for you to go fast on. You have a controlled environment. People are away on the other side of barriers. There's a barrier between you and the other racer. And you also have emergency response teams if something happens, bro. You crash the car, you got fucking EMTs, you got people on site that can, you know, that'll save your fucking life. It's just that. And then, of course, like I said, even with the staging, with the way that you launch and shit, with the tree, you know, all this stuff, there's so many ways that's, there's everything about the track is just so much better than the fucking street. And especially if you have to throw down money, then you want to go to the most controlled environment. Especially even, I mean, if let's say I was the guy confident I was going to win, I don't want to give my fucking opponent any kind of excuses. You know, if you think it's important enough for you to come out and set up an event, then go to the track so that way there's no kind of controversy. So when you get that W, it's a very clear one and you get fucking paid. Right? So just, guys, avoid the street racing, bro. Like I said a million times before in the other video I talked about, it was like this commentary. If you're going to do a pickup race, whatever, like if you're on the highway or you're just in motion somewhere and somebody lines up next to you and you go. But even me, like, honestly, I don't even really do that shit anymore. I mean, I'm not driving any fucking fast car or race car. I drive a stock 10th gen SI, and people downshift on me all the time. But the majority of the time, I just let it be. The only time that you catch me speeding with somebody is somebody who's been fucking telling me being an asshole. Now, I let them pass, and then I just follow them. And even then, when I do it, I don't follow them close. You know, I don't follow on somebody's bumper where they can brake check me and we could all die. I always leave a car in between. And just the fact that I won't go away is enough to fuck with people's minds. And I just like to do that because, like, if you're going to be rude enough to chase me like that, then I'm going to fuck with you for a little bit. But I would never, ever, ever, ever fucking type on the internet, set up a spot, like me and 100 people are going to go there, we're going to set up this race. No, that's just all kinds of problems. Maybe if you're going on the highway and somebody does that, you do your little race there, you do your pulls. But I would never, ever, like, pick a spot and go there with a whole bunch of people to try and do this. It's just all kinds of problems there. All right, so that's it. That's my little take on that. I think it's kind of fucking ridiculous and stupid for anybody to argue, especially if you see the whole thing. The guy lost by a whole car, so even if the dude had jumped and he didn't, then you still got your ass whooped. So pay up the fucking money, you loser. All right, guys, thanks for watching and peace.